the savior of the realm. Try and save yourself.
Calamitous threats, rivaling the scourges of old or the unbridled ambitions of evil men, fate has always conspired against realm kind. It was in defiance of this injustice that the outer tribunal was formed. But for true justice to prevail, the order would need more than pious judges. They'd need an executioner. And that's who Seven is. He's someone who gets in there. He's silent. You don't always see him. He's the perfect killer. He's the perfect person to carry out any task you need, any high-end mission. And that's the kind of character we wanted to make, someone who felt kind of expensive, deadly, all those qualities that you're both intrigued by and afraid of.
Yeah, and he, we're looking at the splash art here. Obviously, some of you might have already seen these masks going around here that some of our influencers have gotten. And, now you understand where that came from. And it is definitely the key feature. I think we even, I think his code name for a while, I think was Gold Skull, right? Something
that
like
mask, so good. He's such a chilling character.
Yeah. And we're gonna get to take our first look at him in game. And he's a new flank champion.
He is our new flank champion. Yeah, you can see him here. He looks so cool. I mean, that cape, his presence, the way he stands, like this is an awesome champion.
You do not want to be on his bad side.
Yeah, so he like Rose said, flank. You can see there only 1900 health. So take care, Seven. He's not the most durable. Yes,
he's paper thin for a reason, though. I when going into playtests with y'all, definitely a point of frustration if somebody is really good with him, no matter how fragile he may be. If you can't catch him, he is a deadly force indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, the flank is gonna flank.
Yeah, so this is his cool weapon
I like
inspect.
That reload.
Yeah, checking it out. Yeah, we can kind of get into his kit though. So the first thing we're looking at here is his weapon, his heavy SMG, and this is an interesting one. It's unique. We have some UI on screen that isn't final, but it's close to final. You'll see in game though what it really looks like. When you all get it in live, it looks great. So the first thing he has is his burst mode. The way his weapon works is he has 3 different modes that he can swap between, and he always starts in burst. This mode produces good long-distance damage in 3 rounds. This is for if you want to hit players that are a little further away. You want to be accurate. This is the weapon mode you want to be in. So if you want to engage from a distance, do some poking, this is where you're at. It's consistent, easy to hit, and that's the burst mode. And what you would then do, you're going to swap to the next mode, and after that, you get a little something called the mag dump. Everyone's favorite in the playtest. What this does is it unloads your entire clip, dealing a lot of damage, but you have to be very close. So you can see there we just absolutely destroyed that Cassie bot. Didn't take her out in one hit, but this is again just taking your entire clip and wildly spraying it. So you're really going to have to control it, but the payoff is huge. If you land it, you're doing a lot of damage. Ooh, there we go. We'll get to that in a second. And then the final mode. This is your regular. This is your, see ya. Bye, Seven. that happens from time to time. I mean, the mission became just
We've all been
difficult. So yes, we've all been there. So this is automatic. This is actually, again, you're dealing a little more damage than you do with the burst mode, but it's a consistent line of fire. This is when you want to put a lot of pressure on them constantly. You've got a pretty big clip, right? You have 40 bullets. So you're going to be able to shoot this for a while, keep hitting them, put on different effects on them, and then you're just going to just be a presence. You're constantly challenging them with this weapon. And I love, you can see that look at that barrel just gets so hot. That overheating was something really cool that we added to the game, and it just looks really nice. So again, he's a champ. You can see pretty okay from a distance, but when you get in close and you're moving around, and we'll show here in a second some of his abilities, you're doing a lot of damage. Oh, Class Clown Strix. I like that.
Oh yeah, that's one of the titles that you can actually get, just to let everyone know, from the it's either from Event Pass or Trials, but very, very cool.
We can look at next. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, give props to our animators and sound team for how well the sounds of the bullets like flow with these different modes as you're shooting the bullets.
Yeah.
It's just so smooth no matter which one you're doing, and it just I don't know, it just looks so good. It's crispy clean.
It is very
Thomas did some
crispy
excellent work
clean.
on those for sure.
Bye, Cassie. Yeah, so you can see there's some. Oh, hey, Lucifer. But yeah, the what it's called is trigger discipline. That's did it work? Oh dang! Can you pet that
Does
Lucifer?
Paladins let you pet the dog?
I guess not. Not yet. Maybe next patch. Well, I won't commit to that. So then there is the trigger discipline is what you're doing when he's right-clicking there, and that's swapping. That takes about a second. So that's going to let you swap between the fire modes. So you can always be in that mode that you want to be in. The next ability is his explosive dodge. So that's just going to be you're getting out of the area. You're in a fight. You want to get away. You dodge roll in one of 8 directions actually, but then you leave behind some little C4, some little explosives for the enemies. For the enemy team, they'll be able to see it. It's got a pretty large radius, so you won't be too surprised by them. But they deal a burst of 3 damage, and it lasts for about 10 seconds out in the world before they disappear. And you can have 2 out at a time. So again, this is just that utility of like someone just landed on you, and as a flank, it's always important to have some quick escapability. And this just dodge rolls with some explosives there. So you're just setting the trap, right? You can't be surprised is the idea.
It reminds me a little bit of like Cassie's, but like maybe more deadly. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like Cassie's, right? I think it's got a little less range, but it's like you are, and it looks really cool too, like especially from third person, but it's just Seven saying like, no, I'm leaving this here. And that's, yeah, so it does pretty large damage.
I'm super excited about the next one. It's so cool.
And you can see there. And then the big one for this character, our movement ability for 7 is very unique. As we're getting along in Paladins, we're always trying to think of new ideas, new stuff. For this character, we thought, wow, yes, we're pushing the boundaries. We really are. And with this character, we thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could maybe stick to the walls? And so what we did is we gave 7, something that we have in our game, this idea of a grappling hook. I can pull myself, right? We have Grover, we have Vora, but this is a true grappling hook. I can attach to a wall over a certain height, and I will actually stick to the wall, becoming invisible. So I'm setting up and I'm perching, and I'm waiting for the moment to strike.
Yes. That is so cool.
So you stick to the wall. You can stay up there for between 4 to 5 seconds, I think, depending on cards, and you are invisible. Now, before you say it, if you move or you shoot, you come out of invisibility. So it's not like you're going to sit up there and have complete control. It's like there are some limits to it. It's really good when you're trying to escape, and we've seen some really cool plays in match. But 7 is going to be perched up on the wall. You're going to see him up there, and you can grapple actually once you're on the wall because you have 2 charges of this. So you get a charge, and if you blow through him, you do have to wait, but you can grapple from wall to wall if you have enough. But it's been super cool in playtests, and I think I'm really excited to see what everyone does with this. And as you can see, there was a lot of work. Yes.
I was just going to say, I think it's definitely one of our most unique grappling abilities so far. I know, like, we definitely have, like, the Grover and Vora, but this is definitely taking it above and beyond.
Yeah, it really is. And this was the kind of, again, and shout outs to our programming and tech art and everyone else that kind of went into getting that latch to feel and look good when you're on the wall. Just getting 7 to turn and look like he's holding onto the wall like that was a lot of work, so props to them. But again, this is like a really, really cool grappling hook that is just great utility. And as you can see here, what actually our cameraman is doing, the grappling hook can actually be attached to enemies. And so we separated it by class. If you grapple a non-tank, right, so our flanks, damages, and healers or supports, you will pull them towards you, dealing a little damage. And if you try and grapple to an enemy that's a tank, you will pull towards them. So just some more flavor, some cool stuff. Again, that ability to do some really fun plays like, hey, maybe I don't want to attach to a wall. Maybe I want to pull someone towards me, hit him with that mag dump, right? Like we've seen that, and then get out with your dodge. So the potential for burst is actually pretty high, but the idea that you are just this deadly assassin is perfect with this. So Yeah, the grappling hook was one of those things that we were super excited when we got it to work. And that's what Rose was talking about earlier. It's like, it can be frustrating when you come in, or Rose was having that moment where it's like, wow, what's happening? There's someone flying around the map and I can't see them and now they're dodging. But he
it
is
was like
paper
either
thin.
like Shock or Ethan Feisty that might have been the one getting me in the playtests with this. And yeah,
Yes.
it can be a point of frustration if you're playing damage or support and stuff, which I normally play. So
yeah, so this is just opening
I love
up.
the utility.
Yes.
Love the attention to detail. I love that, like, you can like launch yourself, you can stick, you can pull, and then if they're too heavy to pull, then you pull yourself to them. I really like this a lot.
Yeah, it's a really cool champ. And I was going to say, I think the fun part too is just like, we're kind of now giving players another, a way to essentially kind of reinterpret our maps, right? So for so long, we have asked players to kind of look in one area, but now it's like, hey, of course there are ways to counter this, but there's going to be a lot of places for Seven to kind of get around and hide and ambush people, and it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, the playtests, I remember, like, if you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it was Karn once said, "With great power comes great responsibility." So
that was Karn. You're right.
Yeah,
that's the first place that was ever said. I was in the playtests. If you have the attention and keep a close eye on him, you can definitely see where he grapples to, and then hit him with a couple shots and make him visible, and then counter very well. But if it's in the thick, like the heat of battle, and you're paying attention to 3 other things, and you don't know exactly where he went, it's very hard. So, like, there's some good counterplay on both sides. A lot of fun.
Right. And if you get resilience, right, you have the ability, at least in the core mode, that we have the ability to kind of see these invisible players. And that last part of that grapple, that's really cool that you saw our camera person doing here is when you latch to a wall, and if you actually hit space, you do a nice little leap off. So you can get some extra momentum just kind of playing into that really mobile, moving fast, and it feels great. I think that, again, one of my favorite modes in our game, or one of my favorite movement abilities. But next, a very cool idea we wanted to play with his mask is his ultimate. We're calling this Decree 77. Right now it's called Order. We're changing that, but this is his ultimate, using that cool mask to scare some people. So you can see here, we have this awesome overlay, again, thanks to UI, thanks to VFX. They just made this look great for an ability. Yeah, it's so good. For an ability where you're just kind of like looking at someone, trying to think of a way to make just looking at someone feel impactful. I think they nailed it.
and really tie into that mask too.
Yes. Yeah, so you can see here what you do is you mark players. So you pull up your mask. Oh, they'll run forever. You'll pull up the mask. That gives you a reticle, and you target enemies within a distance. And once you're over them for long enough, you can see that red circle will kind of change as you're close. You put an icon above them. Once they're marked, you can reactivate the ult, or you can let it pop. And what that does is it fears them, which you've actually added a new fear effect for those that are very perceptive, or they kind of notice differences. But yeah, like, this is that idea that I can now target maybe one person, I can target a whole team, I can latch up on a wall, but this is a targeted fear because we kind of looked at it and we don't have too many fears in the game, and it's a really cool effect. And it fit in perfectly with this champion, so I'm scaring them. I'm doing a little damage and I'm fearing them. And I think
now the fear duration, cool. It's only 2 seconds, right? It's just
I think it's like 1.5, 1.75, yeah. Yeah, our bots will keep running. Maybe players will too because they're so afraid, but our bots just keep running.
It's an Unreal AI thing where once they're in the fear state, they're like, "Oh, I'm moving, so I'll keep going." That is not how it will play out against a player, for sure.
But this ult is just super cool. You're really targeting the enemy. I mean, you can use it to duel someone. You can pop it fast enough. You can get a whole team and disrupt them. So it's just like, it's that idea that like, hey, I'm here, I see the situation, let's take advantage of it. It's really fun in game. So super excited to see. I'm just really excited with this champion to see what players can do, right? It's the highlight reel moment. I want to see those cool things that I didn't even think of.
Absolutely. The old emergent gameplay. I like it too, like we made it 3/4 of the way through his kit. We had this really cool grappling hook, and then he has an ult on top of it. Like that's awesome. Very exciting.
Yes. Yeah, that is That's the new newness. 7, our flank. Again, like you have these 3 modes on your weapon. You have a dodge roll, a grappling hook, and then you have your mask that fears people. So it's this whole kit of maneuvering around the map, setting up, ambushing, getting out of there if you get caught, and just, keep moving, stay deadly, but take those moments. If you think someone's going to come through an area, right, and set up a good ambush, and you never know, you might have great rewards.
Walking through a doorway and having 7 on the ceiling behind you, it can definitely be a surprise moment.
Yes.
Speaking of the whole kit, should we get into the talents? Is it time?
I say so.
Let's do it.
I say yay.
Yeah, yay to that.
Yay to that.
As we often try to do with talents, each one of these is intended to emphasize a different aspect of his kit, right? So for the first one, we're leaning into the fire modes and the primary weapon. So it essentially adds a different elemental effect, further distinguishing the different modes. The burst mode that you start in is electric, and it reveals enemies and deals AoE damage. The mag dump has a fire associated with it, and then it will add a damage over time burn after you do the burst of damage. And then the automatic fire has ice, and it will apply a slow to enemies who are targeted by it for a little bit of control. So that's the first one. The second one is leaning into his ultimate, Decrease 77. And what it's doing is it allows you to charge it faster, and it also kind of trades out that control of the fear for some more offensive capability, dealing direct damage of over 1,000. And then the last one is emphasizing his dodge movement ability. This is going to make it explosive, where you will drop an explosive where you land and where you take off from, and decrease the cooldown of the dodge, and then increase the range that you're traveling as well, to really lean into that mobility. So each of these, like you find the element of your kit that you prefer, or that is more effective in the particular lineup, and then emphasize that to really play them the way you want to play. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, it is very cool. And as you can see here, we went for the second talent, Overcharge. They're all really good talents, but this one is cool because it almost feels like you could have made this into another ult. But we're essentially giving now a laser to 7, and you have to hold it over, and it builds up. It does some tick damage, and then it pops. So it's this idea, again, you just like the regular ult, you want to still sit there and watch them for a little bit to build up, but then it will explode, dealing damage, but you have to wait for it. So that's, again, that idea that Fish was saying, like you want to trade out that ult to deal a little more damage, deal a little more burst. That's the one you're going to go with, and it just looks awesome too.
Yeah, it seems like something really good for, like, if you want to help melt down tanks more. Definitely seems good for that. And then
could do.
I was gonna say, does the for that strength, are you trading out, like, you're more vulnerable, I assume, like with how fragile your health is as 7. It seems like you might be more vulnerable while you're in that ultimate to be, sniped yourself.
Yeah,
ult in general is exactly that moment.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things when you're ulting as this champ, you can't use your other abilities. So you want to either be in a really good position, make sure that you're perched up on a wall that people are going to have trouble shooting you, but you want to be somewhere, because once you commit to that ult, unless you cancel it, you're going to be, you got to stand there and take it and hope that you have the right positioning, because you can't move once you're in it. You can walk, but you can't use your abilities. So yeah, you are vulnerable.
I have definitely died during my ult as 7.
Yes.
Now, one thing that I will say that I think is really cool, and we're about to get into, is 7 technically has 7 skins if you include, his default and the golden. So,
and the interesting thing there is we actually had 2 more planned, and then 7, 8, 9. So these things happen.
Gosh.
Bum, bum, ba, bum. Yeah, that was I think it's just a shame that we didn't name this champ like 20 or something like that, and really just destroyed the art team.
Oh yeah, that they would have definitely loved you for that. Absolutely. But yeah, our first one is going to be the one that's that we're going to show is please save QA.